All right, I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. And don't take anything I say as the reason why you should change your faith or you should change the way you think about things. Actually, listen to what I'm saying and maybe either do your own research. And believe me, you're going to find there's plenty of research on both sides. And you're going to find that a lot of people are going to tell you their lie or their truth, and then it's up to you to decide which one is truth. Now, for me, for the longest time, I just took it as I'm American, so whatever I'm going to do, being that I was a veteran in war, was going to be for truth. But never really looking and listening to the Constitution of the United States, and never looking and listening to God. So, what I also like to say is, now I don't know if this is true or not, but this is the way I see it. And this is the way that I have still kind of see it, but it may not be 100% right, but it's the way I see it, and it doesn't look right to me, and it doesn't compute well in my head. Just because it's not 100% right doesn't mean it's wrong, because I'm feeling it. Now, my feelings may not matter, and they don't really, because if they did, I'd probably be a very wealthy man right now with lots of money and toys and all that stuff. And I've had that before. Not a lot of wealth, but lots of toys and fun and doing all that. And it just wasn't fulfilling to me without something bigger, without something that I knew to be true. That what's the point of there being a male that holds the reproductive key to making a female who is very similar to me, but so completely different. But I have the key for her to do what she was designed for, what she was made for. And that is to give birth. And I understand now, there's lots of people out there that can't give birth. And whether you want to believe it or not, it's because of our diets in the Western world. It's because in other parts of the world, it is so damn bad. And I would say it's getting really bad here in the United States. It's so damn bad all around the world that people don't want to have kids because they don't want to bring their kids into this world. And I would have to say in my heart, like, I feel it. And that doesn't make any sense to me either. Because if we're always just doing it, anything in our life because it's convenient, or because it may interrupt with my potential happiness, at the end of the day, if we just think about it like that, If everyone just stopped believing in God, if everyone just says, hey, we're going to do whatever it is moral, regardless of everything else, knowing that you can't be God. Now, you can say that doesn't prove God to me. And I would say, how couldn't it? Because if you have an all-powerful, on all judgmental, only an all-powerful and all judgmental God, then to the human brain, you just become that religion. And even if that religion is what we all know to be the chosen ones, and you all know who you are. Now, if you just have that all-powerful God, and you know the only way to get to heaven, because you don't believe in hell, is to join that religion and pray to that God, and maybe forego all the other stuff that you're doing because you know you're the chosen one, and you do go to temple, and you do pray to that God. Are you always going to have perfection? No. No, you're not. I mean, you could. And by perfection, there's no such thing. There's only one being, one God can be perfect. And in realizing that you're perfect, if you're a thinking person, if you think you're perfect, then you can never be human. Otherwise, we wouldn't have cancer. We wouldn't have pain. We wouldn't have any of that, because we just be God. And if you're a God that believes that feeling pain and not feeling pain and not feeling struggle and not feeling even true love for what you have created, then you're not truly a God, because that's not perfect. That's not real. That's outside of real. So in being outside of real, if you're a true God, you have to also have mercy and understanding that we are not God, and that you sent your Son, the living embodiment of you, down to just say, I got this part. It doesn't free you from all. Love does not free you, and that's what Jesus was, love. Love does not free you from responsibility. And that's how my rational brain sees that. And I cannot help but believe in God. No matter what way or possible you can bring to me that I need to follow everything the Bible says to the utmost, then that wouldn't be being Jesus either. And there's some things in there that Especially, I just heard this the other day, and like I said, I don't know the Bible 100%, and rightly so, because I saw this part in there, and it said, you can own people from around where you reside, basically. So in the country that you reside, you can own people and their offspring. Period. And then it goes down to another one. You can own slaves. Basically meaning they work for you and you make sure that they can have offsprings and live their life comfortably. You can own slaves, but only if you treat them righteously. Now, this is another one of those things in there. Everybody else just saw slaves. Everybody else owned people. But in that last saying, you have to treat them righteously, does that no longer call them slaves? And now you understand why he said it righteously, right? They, by Jesus and God, even though they're one and the same, they are different. Because they have to be. But they're also one and the same. It is brilliant. Because, logic would say it have to be. Even though we cannot be one and the same of something else, he can. So therefore we can't. It's as if it went right to my head. I didn't go right to anger for God and for the Bible. And initially all I wanted to say was, which version of it was it? And it doesn't really matter, because if you're treating somebody righteously and allowing them to live their life where they could have family, know that they have a roof over their head as long as you have a roof over your head, it's not slavery anymore, is it? That's family. That's respect. That's the Father. So and one other point, and it's going to make this probably go a little bit longer than it should, but I don't get a lot of views off of my thoughts. And by that I mean I've never had any more views than 1,000. And I used to be thinking, hey, why don't people want to listen to this? And then I thought to myself, because no one cares. But that's not true. If that's the case, how will come across all my content, I'm at almost 40,000 views. And that's 40,000 people that possibly listened to something that I had to say, and it took hold. The funny thing is, not a lot of people comment when I make my own content. But I get a lot of comments from people on the stuff that I comment on other people's content. And it's always everything. The good stuff, the bad stuff, the stuff I don't understand, the stuff I do understand, still don't understand why you don't understand. Because I'm just a dumb country boy from upstate New York. Yep, New York boys and girls. So, and I didn't have a father when I was a boy. I had a lot of father figures, but I didn't have a father that I could always just call up and say, This is my problems, Dad. What am I doing right? Or what am I doing wrong? Praying to the Father. And little girls do that for their daddies. And little boys always do that with their daddies. Or at least I'd hope so. Because that's praying to the Father. That's asking the Father if I'm doing it right. Or is this a good man so I can do it right? And you can call that property, you can call that slavery, or you can call that fatherhood, because that's damn right. My children are mine. I own them. They are mine. They will forever have my DNA. And if you look to Him for love, mercy, and answers, sometimes He will just tell you, but most of the time, He's just going to show you the way. Because you're a good man. And if you just keep living your life, and that's women and men, if you keep living your life honorably, and you always know that you could do better, but also knowing you don't have to be perfect, because it's an untruth. There is no such thing as perfect. And God is perfect because He knows that He also cannot be perfect. That's where mercy comes from. Because He owns us. He made us. And you see how that, for all you hippies out there, how that's just the circle of life? However that needs to be. But it has to come from something. Because nothing can come from nothing. Keep trying to figure it out more, but maybe stop trying to figure out that part and start figuring out how we help more people in this country. How we make our money work for ourselves, because we own this country. If you're a legal citizen in this country, you get a right to own this country, founded in God, founded in Christian beliefs, founded in Jesus, because we are not perfect. But that Constitution is probably closest to perfect you're ever going to get for a handwritten, man thought of document. That's why all of our money says, "In God we trust" on it. And you always wondered why they've been trying to get rid of that in our schools, in our judicial system, and our lives. Judges, because we're saying here in America that you can pray to any God you want to pray, and you can have a business where we're not trying to regulate everything, so it makes it impossible for anybody that doesn't have a large corporation to do business, or at least do business through them, Amazon. Then that's the part of leave religion out of it. on the fact that truth and our God and Savior Jesus Christ are the main majority of the people that signed and wrote the Declaration of Independence. And we had already had our first American president, George Washington, the commander-in-chief of our armies and our nation. So you have to have that one guide, and you can't. Some of it you can amend because they could never foresee us having automatic weapons. And that's on the good side and the bad side of people wanting to own them. I'm just saying. You don't need assault weapons to win a battle. Oh, they make it a little bit easier. But that's only on standard playing grounds. Because if there was a revolution, how come we won it against such a bigger force? One, distance. That helped out, having the pond between us. And two, we took what we had learned from our friends, our companions, the Native Americans, who eventually turned mostly Christian, into our allies that teach us how to fight and hide and camouflage. And because you're fighting a war, it isn't an honorable thing to cause all those deaths when you can just take out strategic things and stop as much war. So have that military there. Have that Constitution there. But you still have to have God, because He's as perfect can be, because where do we get that word from? Him. So, for all you atheists out there, all you intelligent scientific people, if nothing means nothing, then it can't be nothing. So nothing can just start. Otherwise, the word nothing doesn't really mean anything, does it? So it has to come from something or someone. And that's everything in life, buddy. That's why Jesus was a carpenter, and that's why Jesus was Jewish. And we've gotten really far away from the meaning of both of those things. And I'm not saying what anybody's doing is right or wrong right now, but at the same time, I'm just saying there's a lot of wrong going on from a lot of people that can do better and do right, because better can only be right? Better, right? And as long as it's not escaping the idea outside of moral law from God, then I would think, for the most part, that's the way Jesus is telling us that we can get to God. But there's still a little bit of wiggle room in there for better. Right? Alrighty. I think I got it all in one. Not really. Still a lot of other things that I'm contemplating and trying to bring back to God, and I think I annoy a lot of people with it. So I'm a New Yorker. I like annoying people. Thanks, God. May God bless us all. One world. One race. Under Him. For all you races out there, that's the human race. Our lives matter. His life mattered. And that's Jesus Christ, if you all don't know what I'm talking about. Pretty sad, though, that you don't. So I explain it. Have a good day.